All right, guys, welcome back to the Endless Endeavor podcast. A couple admin notes. We're going to try a slightly different recording method today. So if the volume sounds a little better or a little worse, if you can tell, let me know. I like to listen to my own show as a consumer to critique myself. And I've noticed the last couple episodes, the mic settings have been a little too sensitive, or maybe I'm a little too close because I'm hearing... And that's fucking annoying and it's fucking disgusting. And so after I take a drink of coffee or something, I'm hearing that little fucking whatever you call that. And I'm like, that's unacceptable. So we're adjusting it and I apologize. The last couple of weeks, I think the sensitivity on the mics have been turned up a little bit. Also today, another solo episode. And I know we've been doing a lot of solo episodes lately. And the main reason for that is because I have about 2 fucking months in Washington to really give my energy to projects that are out on my property. And I have a million fucking things going on out there and I'm trying to minimize travel. And since I'm trying to minimize travel and focus on another aspect of my life right now, I've decided that for the next, month to 6 weeks, probably primarily solo episodes. I get a lot of positive feedback from these. And then also it allows me to focus on other aspects of my life because guess what? Fucking the apocalypse is coming. And if you don't have your log cabins and your range and your water source and your generators, you're fucked. But, half joking when I say that, but also those are all things that I am working on because I think at a bare minimum, having that stuff in place is a peace of mind. And a peace of mind is freedom, right? And so we are going out there almost daily and our firearm range is basically completed. I've been building roads. I've been laying gravel. And this is kind of leading into Guns and Geese, which is going to happen out there on the property the first week of August. We're doing a rifle course. And then after that, I'm going to focus on electricity, water, shelter. I think those 3 things are going to be a game changer in the event you ever need them. And, we talk about it on the show all the time, guys. It's not something that I come from a place of fear or something that I'm scared of, and not even necessarily something that I would say is more likely to happen than not. I don't know the fucking future. Nobody does. But in the event, we need to rely on ourselves. If that fucking scenario comes to life and it's a reality and you haven't taken any steps to prepare accordingly, at that point, you're fucked. You're absolutely fucked. And so do what you can now. And I know time and money and resources, all that shit's tough, right? But do what you can now. And it's going to set you up for success later. And even if it doesn't necessarily set you up for success in a future that we do need to rely on those things, what it does is it gives you a peace of mind right now, knowing that whatever direction we head as a nation, I got plan A, I got plan B, I got plan C, I got fallout plans, and then you're fine. Then you're not in a place of fear. And so that's a big part of why I'm using the resources and allocating the time that I am to the property. And, I actually just bought like 5 different books on building log cabins with your own hands. And I don't know anything about building log cabins. I've never done it before. And I don't know when I'm going to get around to it, to tell you the truth, but that's another resource. I have the manuals. And then I bought all the tools. I bought a big 3-foot timber slick, a couple of those debarking tools that you hold with both hands. This thing that looks like a big ice cream scoop, but it's razor sharp to help you cut notches into the wood. A couple really high quality saws, and then a really high quality axe from, I'm going to butcher this name. They're out of Norway, I believe. Gransford Bruns. I'm gonna fuck that up. I'll look that up and get back to you. But yeah, it's it's a forest axe that costs, I don't remember, but a couple $100. And it's because it's hand forged. And the guy that makes your axe actually has to put his initials in it. So if there's ever an issue with it and you reach out to them with their lifetime warranty, it's not just, oh, hey, why is this axe fucked up? It's that dude made that axe, and now we can go directly to the source and address the problem, which is pretty cool, right? And so, yeah, a lot of my time is going into that. And, I'm hoping to be able to build a log cabin with my own two hands, and not even necessarily something that I would live in as a real legitimate residence unless things go to hell. But the understanding and the knowledge of being able to build a legitimate house with your own hands is something that excites me. And I think I think that learning to provide basic survival needs as a man is something that a lot of us have lost touch with, me included. I've talked about it on the show plenty of times, is I don't know how to dress an animal. I don't know how, if I were to kill a deer, I don't know the proper way to butcher and dress that animal. And that's something that I feel is a massive deficiency. And so, I have a deer hunt booked in October, and that's another skill set that I feel like I need to address. I used to think that hunting would be extremely easy because I'm a very good shooter. And I've come to find that shooting and hunting have little, if nothing, to do with each other. I shouldn't say nothing. Obviously, you have to make a fucking shot, right? But especially firearm. I'm actually going on an archery hunt. But when you look at hunting from a firearms perspective, I mean, if you can't hit a deer inside of 200 yards with a modern rifle, then you just simply have put zero effort into training, or you have the worst marksmanship skills that I've ever seen. Shooting a deer inside 100 yards, especially with a modern rifle, you should be able to train yourself to do that inside of like 2 hours. But regardless, my point is what I've found, because I've been deer hunting, probably four or five times now. What I found is it's not a marksmanship issue. It's a finding an animal issue. And here we are. It's like they fucking know what tag is in your pocket, because I see deer in the woods all the time. And I thought, like, okay, now I'm going to get a tag. I'm going to go in the woods. I'm going to go harvest a deer and learn how this process works. And nothing could be further from the truth. When I was in Coeur d'Alene on a deer hunt, I literally saw every fucking animal in North America other than a deer. We saw bobcat, wolf, moose, elk, turkey. We saw them all, but there's no deer. So the journey continues on this stuff. I'm trying to become more proficient. I know if I were to have to kill a deer to feed my family, I have no doubts that I could make it work and I could figure it out on the fly. But there's also a lot of little nuances, tips and tricks when it comes to cleaning animals. I've cleaned a lot of fish, and even fish, right? There's certain ways that you do it, little tricks that make it exponentially easier. And then also, like, I don't want to spoil the meat by fucking doing whatever improperly. So those are some things that are on the horizon for me. And I think it's necessary to take the time to invest in yourself. This podcast platform has almost become exclusively about capability, because capability is all encompassing. Capability is what makes you a man. It's what makes you a husband. It's what makes you a father. It's what makes you a provider. And, it comes across a wide spectrum of tasks and skills that you need to be able to accomplish to be able to consider yourself a capable man. And so, I wouldn't change anything about how this journey is going. The property is coming along exactly how I had hoped. And I like putting my energy into that. To tell you the truth, traveling for the podcast is something I really enjoy, right? Because this podcast only gets done face to face with people. I hate that remote shit. And that's just, again, that's my opinion. That's how I feel. And I don't share the right energy when I'm looking at someone on a computer screen. So I like to travel for the show and sit down and share energy with people. But the reality of it is, I don't have the time this summer. I'm trying to allocate my resources somewhere else. So let's go into some things that are plaguing society. You know how the show works. We talk about it. We vent a little bit about it, get it off our chest, shine a spotlight on the things that are troubling and the things that I believe need to be addressed and the things that I believe need to be changed. And then we talk about some things that are going to make us better and more capable and more resilient. And those are the two things that I think are important for society right now, because a lot of people, they still think we're the crazy ones. Everything's fine. There's no issues going on, even though we're being fucking inflated to death. The price of groceries is almost unsustainable. It was $221 fucking dollars to fill my truck last week. That's it. I didn't fill my spare gas cans. I didn't fill either one of the machines that I've been towing. None of that stuff. Just my diesel pickup truck. $221. And, I made an Instagram post about that. And I said, hey, I'm not a wealthy person, but I'm doing fairly well as an entrepreneur and as a small business owner. And by well, I mean that I'm able to meet my family's needs comfortably. And I think that is what separates you from what I would consider wealth, which is your needs are met and you're comfortable, versus you're struggling, you're paycheck to paycheck. Because I've been paycheck to paycheck a lot throughout my life. The profession of law enforcement is not a lucrative one. And for those of you that are listening that are cops, you know exactly what I'm saying. And especially in the Seattle area, even making $100,000 a year salary with 3 kids in the Pacific Northwest, you make it work, but you're by no means wealthy. And so I think it's important to be able to look at how much you make versus how much you need, and then allocate resources where you need to, and be able to find comfort. And I've been able to do that. But the thing that is very frustrating is that even though I'm in a place where I feel like I'm comfortable, as they turn up the dial and all of these little things, this is attacking me on 2 fronts. A, my own resources aren't going as far. So I've built a life where I'm able to make enough money to provide for the things that my family needs, but I'm not way past that by any means. And so I find this comfortable place, and then they turn up everything else, with the inflation, with the cost of fuel, with all these additional taxes. I mean, we're getting fucked here in Washington. Property taxes, my property taxes went up 28% in 1 year. 2022, the new assessment for property taxes went up 28% in my county. And they say, well, we looked at the costs of, or the value of homes, and because the market had a dramatic increase over the last 24 months, your property taxes went up too. Just one more little area. You would think maybe someone somewhere in some fucking official capacity that has the power to adjust property tax would say, okay, the housing market did spike, but guess what else spiked? Every fucking thing else. And so maybe the right thing to do right now isn't burden all of these families that are already struggling with more expensive costs of fucking homes, more expensive costs of food and fuel. Like, yeah, everything went up. So let's turn up their taxes too. Does that make fucking sense to anybody? And again, like, I'm a common sense person. I can't break down the US tax code and how much should get allocated here and how much should get allocated there. I'm just a common sense fucking person. And when cost of living is going up across the board and people are struggling, does it seem like a reasonable time to turn up property taxes too? Well, Greg, you don't understand. It's just a formula based on home values. Okay. If that's the case, and that's the system that we've been using for however many years, maybe it's time to think outside of the box and say, you know what? Because of where we're at as a country or as a county or as a state, maybe we should adjust things. Maybe we should start a new protocol. Maybe we should implement some new policies. But the government will never implement anything new if it involves less funds going to them. And so here we are. And to me, it's fucking shocking. But my whole point in bringing that up is that as they turn up the dial everywhere, your wealth becomes diminished, even if you're making the same amount, even if you're making a little more. I bet that there's a lot of police officers whose step increase over the last 24 months bumped them up a little bit in pay. But I bet their wealth and their ability to save money or allocate resources towards things that they think are important are actually becoming diminished. And it's just fucking something to think about. It never fucking stops, does it? And so there's a lot of things that I want to talk about today. We know that solo episodes are about an hour, and I just burned up the first quarter of it talking shit, but it's how we go. It's how we do things here. I wanted to start with a little story. And I took my family out fishing. I took my youngest daughter, my oldest daughter, and Mike Kozak, who you guys know from a few episodes ago, is the coolest fucking dude I know. And we went out fishing, and we caught a couple salmon. Pretty good day. Not a great day, but I didn't get skunked. So anytime we bring home salmon, I consider that a success. And then we did pretty well with the crabs. And when I pull my boat out of the ocean, a lot of times I will go to a freshwater lake and I won't even take the boat off the trailer. I'll back it in and I'll let my trailer sit in fresh water for maybe 5 minutes. And then I'll also run both my engines while it's sitting there. It gives my trailer a freshwater bath, and then it rinses my engines with the salt water. I've been doing that since I bought the boat in 2017. Salt water, if you aren't familiar with why people do that to their boats, is extremely corrosive. And salt water will, if you don't wash it off your boat, it'll start to build up and it'll start to cause problems. It'll start to accumulate. So you should always give your boat a freshwater bath after you take it out of the ocean if you're somebody that trailers it like I do. So I'm at the boat launch and I'm just there's two ways to get into this boat launch, right? And it's hard to paint a picture of it for you guys, but basically there's two different entrances and they want boats to use one entrance, and that's just how the boat launch is set up. But here's the deal. Most people that are going to Lake Stevens that have, a little, 15-foot wakeboarding boat, that's very easy. The parking lot's easy for them to negotiate. Well, for me, my trailer's 30 feet and it simply doesn't work to go in the one entrance. It defies physics, right? I can't swing that corner. So I use the other entrance. So I use the other entrance to the boat launch, and this fucking cop pulls up with his lights on. And for those of you that are cops, you know that when you put your lights on, the Supreme Court has already fucking reviewed this and come to conclusions that is a detainment, right? If you get pulled over and your lights are on, you are now detaining that person. That's of their fucking freedom of movement. A reasonable person would not believe they are free to leave if a cop flew up with their lights on. And so, you can see all the case law on that. If you shine a spotlight on someone, there's different things that a reasonable person would believe. Like, you don't necessarily have to say, you are not free to go at this time. A cop doesn't have to articulate that. Their actions can tell you that. And so he pulls up with his lights on, and I'm immediately like, okay, like, what the fuck is this? And I don't care. Like, I'm not intimidated by police officers. I was one for 10 fucking years. I know the profession well. I know cops well. And he comes up to my window. And of course, you're going to be shocked to hear this, but he would fall under probably between obese and morbidly obese. Big old fucking belly. And he's like, oh, you made a left turn there. You're not supposed to make a left turn there. I said, yeah, I understand that, but my trailer's over 30 feet. And so I can't swing into the other one. Common sense, right? Well, that's why I stopped you. You came into the parking lot illegally or whatever the fuck he said. And then he goes, so what are you doing? I said, I'm putting a boat in the water because I'm at a boat launch. And I'm towing a boat. Like, what do you think? What am I doing? And I don't remember if I volunteered it or he asked or whatever, but I said, yeah, I've been out fishing with my kids all day and we're headed home now. Oh, you've been out fishing, huh? Where are you fishing? And just the way he was interacting with me, it was like I was the bad guy. And and he's here to educate me and direct me and show the flaws in my way. Meanwhile, you're a big, fat, stupid fuck. And the way you're talking to me in any other circumstance would get your fucking teeth knocked down your throat. Period. You fat little pussy. You talk to me like this, you would get your ass beat. But because you're on patrol and employed by the county and you have a badge and you have a gun, you just continuously think this is how you can fucking talk to people. Well, guess what, bro? I'm not fucking intimidated by you. And so he goes, well, if you're coming from the ocean and you think you're going to put the boat in the lake, apparently you're not familiar with the Washington State Invasive Aquatic Species Act, which prohibits that. And I said, you're right. I'm not familiar with the Washington Invasive Aquatic Species Act. But I guess I can't ever put my boat in two different bodies of water, if that's what you're saying. And he's like, well, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you have to give your boat a bath before you can bring it to our lake. And I said, okay, so you're telling me that there's an RCW that articulates that I can't take my boat from one body of water to another body of water without giving it a fucking bath? That's the government has legislated that. And he goes, yep, they have. I said, okay, what is the period of time between the bath that I need to give my boat and then my ability to launch it in a new body of water? And he goes, well, that's actually not specified in the law. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, are we fucking serious right now? Are we fucking serious right now? I'm literally talking to a police officer who's upset with me because I was gonna dunk my fucking boat in a lake. That's where we're at, guys. I can't dunk my fucking boat in a fucking lake without the government flying up with their fucking lights on, questioning me, detaining me, needing to have all this information, where I've been, what I was doing. That's where we're at, to put my motherfucking boat in a lake. And you wonder why people like me are pissed the fuck off. And I don't look at my path as any more or less special than anybody else's. But the fact of the matter is, when you look at how I've served the United States of America, I did 14 tours to combat. I spent all of my fucking 20s in Iraq and Afghanistan. I've killed fucking men for missions that this country deemed important enough for me to risk my life to partake in. I've lost friends overseas. When I came home, I started a family. I'm a father. I have fucking babies. I'm contributing member of society. I teach martial arts programs to the kids in my community. I was a police officer for a decade with 0 complaints. I never had any fucking negative shit on my file. And I'm not saying this like to paint the picture of, oh, look at how perfect Greg Anderson is. The reason I say it is I've lived a fucking moral and ethically straight life serving the government in this country in a capacity that I thought at the time was honorable and respectable. And now after doing all of those things for 20 fucking years, I'm getting harassed for putting a boat in a body of water. You motherfuckers need to realize something. The day is coming when men like me have had enough of your fat fucking pussy actions and your passive aggressive bullshit. No, so I want to know why you thought it was okay to make an illegal turn here. Like, bro, I was a cop for a long fucking time. You know how I would fucking address people? I'd be like, hey, sir, my name's Greg Anderson. I'm a police officer with the port here in Seattle. And the reason that I stopped you is because A, B, and C. And a lot of times I would de-escalate it right out of the gates. If I saw like an equipment malfunction. A lot of times I pull people over for equipment malfunctions, meaning broken taillight, burned out headlight, that type of deal, right? And I wouldn't pull them over to write them a ticket and try and take some of their hard-earned money. I would pull them over to say, hey, I'm letting you know that your headlight's burned out. So the interaction would look like this. Hey, sir, my name's Greg Anderson. I would always introduce myself as a name, not I'm deputy or I'm officer, because now you're giving a title and you're trying to appear superior to someone, which is just gross. My name's Greg Anderson. I'm a police officer at the port here. The reason I stopped you is I noticed that you have a burned out headlight. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm not citing you. I'm simply letting you know so you can address the issue. Because oftentimes, people are unaware that a headlight or a taillight or a brake light burned out. And then the interaction was like positive. It's real easy to get along with people. It's actually easier to get along with people than it is to be a fucking dick to them. And so me and this guy had a little bit of back and forth, and it was just negative and it was gross. And he was PTOing a rookie, or FTO. I don't know what their agency calls it. But basically, for those of you that don't know what FTO or PTO is, he had a new officer with him that was basically still shadowing him. You know, there's different phases of PTO where you will watch other officers do the job, and then so you learn how to do it. And then as it gets a little more advanced, then you do the job and they watch you do it, right? So he was in the job of still observing this officer. And he's a young kid. He looked like a good kid. And he goes, he called me professor. And I was like, oh, he's a jiu-jitsu guy. If you're a jiu-jitsu guy in Lake Stevens, you know me. And I looked up and I noticed his ears were a little gnarled. I said, bro, where you train at? And he goes, I don't remember where he told me, but he goes, but I've trained with you before. I've been up to your gym. I said, cool, come back to my gym, man. Like, I like training with fucking cops. I think it's important, you know, if this is and then I was like, how long ago did you get on the force? And we had a little bit of good banter back and forth. And I remember I got home and I thought about it. I'm like, man, this young kid that's brand new to the profession already understands how to speak with someone better than this old fat crusty piece of shit. But that's where we're at. That's where we're at. And a lot of police officers, I shouldn't say a lot. I'll always, whenever I talk about law enforcement, I always say this. I think it's important to reiterate this. Most cops I know are cool people. That's a fact. That's not my opinion. Most cops I know are good people, meaning most cops aren't pricks. Most cops aren't racist. Most cops aren't fucking bigots. All of these things that they say cops are, it's just simply not true. It's a narrative. But this is the truth about the profession, is that the minority of police officers out there that do interact with the public like cocksuckers, they are the ones that set the tone for the public's perception of police officers. So when you go up to someone who is simply wrapping up a day of fishing, that's looking to get a quick rinse on his boat, and you treat him like the way you treated me, most people, you put a sour taste in their mouth when it comes to how they look at law enforcement. And cops need to realize something. There's a couple reasons why you need to treat people with fucking kindness and respect. The first one is it's a de-escalation tool. If you pulled someone over who's had a real bad fucking day and is on the edge and just looking for a fucking reason, and you treat that person like a piece of shit, that might be the reason that pushes them over the edge. Do you want to be pushing people over the edge as somebody that's serving your community? Or do you want to be building people up and de-escalating and making people feel better and making people understand that the profession of law enforcement is here to serve and protect? You can do those same things while also enforcing the law. And guys, he didn't cite me. The guy didn't cite me. So his intentions wasn't to write me a ticket. His intentions was just to lecture me. And when you come at someone from a lecturing standpoint, as opposed to a conversation to educate, they shut down. You know, I'm reading a book called Emotional Intelligence right now, and I'm going to get into that next. But a lot of police officers are lacking emotional intelligence. A lot of people in general are. And that's what I like to pride myself and think that that's one of my stronger suits. I'm not educated. I'm not gifted. I'm not even athletic. There's a lot of things that I am struggling to be halfway decent at, but I feel like I know how to interact with people. That's been something, since I was a little boy. I'd go skate with the skaters, and then I'd fucking go work out with the jocks, and then I'd go party with the stoners. I would like to interject myself with different communities of people as a way to learn about building friendships and getting to know people. I always enjoyed that since I was a little fucking boy. So as a police officer, you can go up to a car and you can say, he could have said this to me. Hey, sir, my name's fucking Jim or whatever. I'm an officer here in Lake Stevens. The boat launch is part of my jurisdiction that I watch, and I observe the different boats that are coming down here. This looks like a saltwater vessel, so there's something that I wanted to bring to your attention. Boom. Now talk to me about the Invasive Aquatic Species Act. If it's on the books and it's a legitimate law and it's something that you're legitimately concerned about, you don't want me to fucking bring some invasive seaweed into Lake Stevens. Bro, fucking educate me. Educate me through kindness. But nope, that's not what you do. So I came home and I read the RCW. And just like most laws, it's full of fucking gray area and it's open to interpretation. So then I started to look what invasive aquatic plants or animals can live in both the ocean and fresh water. Well, not very fucking many. I think zero. No, you don't know. There's this plant called blah, blah, blah. I read and I read and I read. I wasted time is what I did because it's not an important thing in my life. But I was just like, maybe this fat nerd is a fucking botanist and understands fucking plants. And I need to understand that he's right. And I need to have the humility to say, Greg, dude, don't fuck up your local lake. If you want to give it a freshwater bath, make sure you rinse it off with the hose first. And everything I read was talking about how like at a cellular level, a massive shift in salinity changes causes cellular damage and actually causes the cells to die or burst. And so if I'm wrong, let me know I'm wrong, but I'm wanting to know what invasive species inside of Puget Sound is affecting freshwater lakes. And I'll leave it at that. The next thing that's driving me nuts lately is, we talked about it with Toby and Tyler last week, was the trans stuff, right? And guys, the trans stuff, and the reason a lot of people like this podcast is because I call it for what it is, and a lot of people that have built platforms are still reluctant to call things what they are. In fact, the only other man that I know that does it is Andy Frisella. Calling things what they are. And the trans movement is gross, it is destructive, it is dangerous, and it's disingenuous. And I think that's the biggest thing that we need to focus on. It is absolutely disingenuous. Now, when I say that the trans movement is gross and foul and dangerous, I'm not talking about an individual person, a man that's 26 years old and says, you know what, I've always felt like a woman inside of my body, and I'm going to start embracing this. And I'm going to live my life as this. Now, do I think it's weird? Of course I think it's fucking weird. And you probably do too. And we can say it's weird with still respecting that person's wishes. That's what all these stupid motherfuckers don't realize. Like, he's transphobic, he's homophobic, he's this. Motherfucker, I ain't afraid of anything. I'm literally not afraid of anything. The emotion of fear was worked out of me decades ago. Getting blown up every fucking day in Ramadi. I don't have fear in my heart. I know that I am made of flesh and that this flesh vessel is going to be fucking killed someday. And that's the rap of Greg Anderson. I've come to terms with that and I'm comfortable with that. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not transphobic. Okay. I think it's weird. I can't say that I think it's weird, but even with that said, I think it's weird. That doesn't mean that I don't think you should be able to do it. That doesn't mean that I don't respect your ability to live your life as you want. And then you, in turn, respect me and allow me to live the life that I want. And I'm going to argue because I made a post the other day that most gay people aren't down with this bullshit either. I promise you. I got a lot of response from that post. And it was in private DMs. The people are like, bro, my brother's gay and he thinks this is fucking abhorrent. Or my cousin's gay. Or, just a lot of people that are saying, hey, like, I know people in the gay community and they're all echoing the same thing. And I talked about it on the show a week or two ago. I have one friend in the gay community. He echoes the same thing to me. So what we're finding is it's not that we as like what you would consider like a straight conservative male, our demographic of people, we don't have a problem with the gay community. But even more importantly, the gay community doesn't have a problem with us. It's all fabricated. What both the gay community and my circle of people that I run with have a problem with is pushing all your bullshit onto our babies, especially in the public school system that's funded by me, motherfucker, and you. We get up and we go to work and we do our day to have a percentage of our money taking so you can teach 9-year-old girls how to have orgasms? So you can have a big fat man pretending to be a woman and dressing in lingerie and reading them stories? Like if you don't stand up and say that this is foul and this is grotesque, you're part of the fucking problem. It's reality. I look at that and it's fucking wrong. But what a lot of people are doing is they're attaching these radicals within the transgender community. And then it's just making you say, you know what? Fuck all those people. They're sick fucks. And I think it's all by design. That's what I think. I think the government is pushing this for two different reasons. A, division, and B, man, the more little boys that they think that can convince themselves because they had a bad day and they felt depressed that they're actually a little girl. And let's get you on these medications to chemically castrate you. That fucking fat, sick dude, Levine, the admiral, the health secretary that was promoted to admiral, a 4-star position, and he's obese, and he doesn't even know if he's a man or a woman. So he's confused and he's obese, and he's going to tell you and your babies how to fucking live. Oh, Greg referred to him on that guy, Greg Anderson, referred to Admiral Levine as a he. He's dead naming him. He should get shadow banned. He's promoting violence against the transgender community because he dead named him. Motherfucker, if you have a dick, I will refer to you as a he. If you have a vagina, I will refer to you as a her. And if you don't fucking like that, come to my fucking gym and voice your displeasure to me. I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. And nobody else cares either. And this whole, the pronouns and the he, her, and the cis, and today I identify as this, and tomorrow I identify as that, and everybody needs to be respectful of it. That's not fucking reality. The world does not bend over backwards to fucking small percentages of people that are demanding special treatment. Period. I don't give a fuck. I'll be nice to you. I'll respect you. I'll have a conversation with you. Fuck, you can come into my gym and join. I'll teach you jiu-jitsu, but I'm going to treat you just like I treat everybody else. I'm not giving you some fucking special pass. I'm not giving you some fucking special title because I don't give a fuck. And not only do I not give a fuck, but I'm not buying into this divisive bullshit. When you're on my mats, you're a fucking person, and I respect you as a human. I don't give a fuck who you go home to. I don't give a fuck when you take your gi off, do you put a dress on or do you put pants on? None of that fucking matters. But what I do give a fuck about is when people inside of this movement think that they're so righteous and that everything they do is fucking correct and everything that we believe in is sexist and homophobic and transphobic. And it's so bad that they're pumping babies full of drugs to make their balls stop working. They're pumping hormones. There's this HBO special called Trans Life. And they're pumping this child. It's a child. I think they're like 11. Full of hormones to stop his fucking testicles from producing testosterone. And this chemical that they're giving, I think it's called Lutador, something like that. It's used to chemically castrate sex offenders. So because an 11-year-old boy is going through something hard in his life, and he's like, maybe all the boys at school don't like him. Maybe he's extremely weak. Maybe he's just late to going through puberty. All his other friends already are strong and their muscles are growing, and he still feels like a little weak boy. So instead of feeling like a little weak boy, maybe he's a girl. Yeah, that's it. He's a girl. So let's make him a girl through surgical intervention, and we're going to cut his dick off and we're going to make his balls stop working. If you think that's reasonable and you think that's a good idea to do to an 11-year-old boy, I think we should fucking cut your head off with a chainsaw. That's what I fucking think. Little fucking kids are impressionable. Little fucking kids are confused. And especially when you go into that phase of life where you're starting puberty, you're starting middle school. Like, I saw it with my own fucking daughter. She went from being a very outgoing, social butterfly, would just go up to random strangers and have conversations with them. And, don't talk to strangers. No, you know what? Talk to strangers, because most strangers are cool. They might have a story. And we'd be at the beach and she'd go like just randomly start fucking telling people stories and stuff. And it was cool. And then when she got into middle school, she really reclused in and she got very shy. And I don't know if she was like self-conscious. I've talked to her about it and we have a very open relationship. And she was never quite either willing to articulate or even understand necessarily what to articulate. But she would tell me, no, I'm okay. There's no problems. Cause I was like, what's going on? Well, this is what's going on because she's my oldest. This is the first time I've went through this as a parent. I talk to a lot of other parents out there. And if you got young kids, this is a good thing to hear, is that once they start puberty and they start to go from child to woman, they go through these phases where they are extremely shy. They're extremely self-conscious. They're extremely reluctant to put themselves out there, to be in front of people. And I've come to find out that a lot of people that have raised girls have went through this same process, right? And so I was worried. And guess what? Just because she went through, and now she's 13. This was like when she's 11. And I would say she's out of this phase now. And she's back to her old self. So young kids that are starting puberty, that have new hormones pumping through their veins, they have new physical changes in their bodies. We change schools too, which now not only are you physically changing within yourself, but externally everything's changing too. You have to get new teachers, you have to make new friends. A lot of confusion is happening during this time of a child's life. And guess what? With those changes comes a lot of uncertainty. And the need to learn about yourself, and a lot of needing of belonging and friendships and having a tribe. Like, all of this stuff becomes exponentially more important in middle school and high school than it was in elementary school. So you're shocked to fucking hear that some kids may not know who they are yet, or where they fit in, or what social groups that they should probably be a part of. Like, come on. Every fucking person on planet Earth goes through this to some degree. And now you motherfuckers want to cut off little girls' tits with double mastectomies? And you want to fucking chemically castrate people? You sick fucks. You sick fucks. That's it. There is no middle ground. If you think we should be fucking doing mastectomies on 12-year-old girls' breasts, you need the fucking chainsaw treatment. And you know what? I'll take it a step further. Not just the head. Tourniquet all four of the limbs. and fucking saw him off like the Black Knight on Monty Python. Tourniquet at first so he doesn't bleed out. Because if you think that fucking mutilating babies is good, you deserve to be fucking mutilated. And that's just the facts of life. No reasonable man on planet Earth would say, let's cut this young girl's breasts off. No reasonable human being on planet Earth thinks that's reasonable. Now, when she's 24 years old and she's like, you know what? I don't like these things. They got to go. Then fucking go. I don't care at that point. But what we're finding is the data simply states what the facts of the matter are, is that a lot of people come to terms with that they want to detransition, which means I thought I wanted to go from being a man to a woman, but then 3 years later I realized, you know what? I'm comfortable being a man. And I want to go back to being a man. And that was just a confused phase of my life. And guys, until more people than just me and Andy Frisella are saying, get your fucking disgusting, mutilating, manipulative fucking hands off our babies, they're going to keep fucking doing it because it pushes weakness, it pushes confusion, and it makes little boys think they're little girls. And you think when you cut a little boy's balls off that in 10 years he's going to be a motherfucker? No. You just stripped him from his ability to ever being a motherfucker. And you think that's by accident. I'm here to tell you, it's fucking not. They're fucking bringing up a culture and a generation of weaklings and fucking retards. You can't say retard. You can't say faggot. We say whatever the fuck we want because it's what you're doing, is you're making our kids little, weak, retarded fucking faggots by cutting their balls off and making them confused. So I'm telling you, the day is coming, all right? We talk about it all the time. The day is coming. And when that day comes, all you people that were fucking shooting chemicals into babies, we're going to fucking do some shit to you. That's where this is going. And fuck, I go back and forth all the time on this, but I can't fucking wait. I can't fucking wait. They are intentionally destroying the next generation by confusing the fuck out of them, by educating them with bullshit. And then they fucking are going to put them through physical changes. If you're okay with fucking Admiral Levine mutilating children, we aren't the same. Not only are we not the same, but fuck you. Fuck you. Let a fucking child decide for themselves. What else has been going on lately? The last thing I'll say on the school system is that one of my jiu-jitsu students, she is a teacher, and she just told me that starting next year, kids can take as many mental health days off as they need. Let that fucking sink in for a second. Because when I was 15, I took lots of days off, but it wasn't a mental health day. It was so I could take a bus to the Everett Mall and skateboard in the parking lot with my friends. And then my parents would get a call at night that Greg wasn't at school today. What was going on? And I would have to tell my mom that I was skateboarding and I'd get in trouble, and that was life, right? I hated school. Just like a lot of little boys hate school. But if you didn't take the steps to be able to enforce that they go to school, guess what they're not going to do? They're not going to go to school. Me included. I wanted to go skateboard at the mall. I didn't want to go sit in math class. But when I skipped math class to go skateboard at the mall, there were repercussions. And so if you tell children, again, here we are, letting fucking children decide their future. Is your head so far up your own fucking ass that you can't understand that a child doesn't have the cognitive capacity to decide what action in this moment is going to serve them best 10 years down the road. That's why they're fucking children. That's why they still live in our houses. That's why I buy their food and I pay their fucking bills. If children came out able to fucking make all of these fucking decisions, we wouldn't have to be parents. They'd become self-sufficient fucking humans. They'd be 2-year-olds walking to work and partaking in society and going grocery shopping and driving fucking cars. You motherfuckers, everybody realizes that kids aren't capable of self-sustaining their lives until they are probably 16, 17, 18. I was out on my own since I was 11. Okay, great. You're an outlier. Congratulations. I don't fucking care. It's safe to say that most human beings aren't capable of holding down life and accomplishing all the things that need to be accomplished to make your life work until you're in your mid to late teens. So now, mental health days, you can take as many mental health days off as you want in Snohomish County. Because if you're sad, we wouldn't want you to have to come to school and confront somebody that made you feel bad. We wouldn't want you to have to come to school and see a teacher that said something mean to you yesterday. Or your cat died, and so, take some time to yourself. You know what you're doing? You're perpetuating fucking weakness. That's what you're doing. Now, if they do go to school, what are they going to be taught there, and how's that time going to be spent? That's a whole other episode in itself. Maybe taking days off from the public school system is a good thing. But if the schools were teaching how they were supposed to teach, we can't just tell kids go whenever you want and don't go whenever you want. Is that building a proper habit to be a successful fucking person in our society? You think you can just go to work whenever you want? I'm taking today off. No notice. I just, you know what? I woke up. I need a mental health day and I'm not going to work. Now that shit is infiltrating a lot of workplaces too. And it's a fucking direct result of the dumbing down and the weakening of society. And guys, there's fucking times when maybe you do need some time off. Maybe you do need a day to focus on yourself. I'm not saying that this is an absolute and mental health is bullshit, but it has to be a bigger process than a child deciding when they go to school. Because what you're going to find is they're not going to take days off for a mental health reset. They're going to take days off because they feel like getting stoned and fucking their girlfriend in the back of their truck. Because at 16, that's all you think about. And at 42, that's still all you think about. So yeah, I was shocked to see that. Couple other things that we need to start shining a spotlight on. When good men eliminate evil, it needs to be celebrated. Period. It needs to be celebrated. I think Elijah Dickin, I think that's his name. I think it's just Elijah Dickin. He was that young man that heroically fucking addressed an active shooter and he fucking smoked him at 40 yards. 8 of his 10 shots were hits at 40 yards. At 22 years old. Hero. Savage. He didn't only have the technical skill set, but he had the emotional skill set and the emotional composure to fucking attack when the situation called for attacking. So all you faggot pussy cops down in Uvalde, you should have to attend a seminar that Elijah Dickens puts on talking about warrior mindset and how to fucking win. So that dude had a gun and Elijah had a gun. Did he run and hide? Did he go down a corner and just post up and fucking sit there for 70 minutes? Did he do any of those things? He didn't have a shield. He didn't have backup. He didn't have anything other than a Glock and the will to kill and the will to win. If you don't have those things, good luck. Good luck winning when you find yourself in a fucking violent encounter. And if you're a cop and you don't know if you have those things, you need to take a big, long, hard look in the mirror and ask yourself, is this who I am? And is this what I want to do? Because guys, I don't expect everybody to be capable and willing and thrilled to smash somebody's fucking head in with a brick. I get it. Some of us are wired warrior. Some of us are wired protector, but some of us aren't. And that's okay. If everybody was the same, the world would fucking suck. I don't want to share planet Earth with 7 billion Greg Andersons. I like different people, different perspectives, different strengths, different weaknesses. That's what makes the world go round. But if you are not of that ilk and you don't have the will to kill and the desire to eliminate evil motherfuckers, if you don't have that, get out of the profession. Like Greg Lappin always says, you can make more money selling insurance than being a cop. So go do that. You can be fat and sell insurance. You can not know how to shoot and sell insurance. You can not know how to fight and sell insurance. But you can't be a cop if you don't know those things. A 22-year-old kid fucking saved the day because he had the will and the technical abilities to do so. Guys, what did I say on the episode of the Uvalde stuff when I was venting on that? I said, the way we stop active shooters is every man that's a motherfucker needs to be ready to be that motherfucker. And he needs to be caring and he needs to have a will to kill. And if the men in our society carry themselves like that, watch the fuck out. You come into a mall, you come into a restaurant, you come into a school with your fucking communist, fucking socialist bullshit. You know, your brains have been fucking manipulated and fucking, you've been hypnotized by this fucking evil government to think that killing babies is a good way to spend your afternoon. You do that in a society of savages, you get fucking shot and murdered. There's a picture going around of this kid's stupid looking face. And just like the kid in the 4th of July parade, remember, I was like, his pencil neck, his skinny, weak fucking eyes, he just looked like a pussy fucking bitch. Oh, you'll be shocked to hear. Same thing with this kid. Except there was a side-by-side picture with him laying on the ground full of holes with blood all over him. And it made me feel so fucking happy. It warmed my heart. So Elijah Dickin should want for nothing. I'm going to share his GoFundMe. I want this kid to fucking feel like a king over the next year. He should have all the fucking money and pussy that he wants because he earned it through heroic fucking actions. Cool fucking story. I love that shit. 2 more things I want to touch on. We're already in an hour, but I think this is important. DeSantis gave a speech. And I don't even know where you would find this, but he gave a speech talking about our rights. And I bet if you Googled DeSantis rights speech, it would come up. It's 24 minutes. And it's something that is important for people to listen to because he's a good speaker. He articulates things much better than myself. So instead of me trying to fucking recreate that, I'm just going to give you the cliff notes and then I advise you to go listen to it. But what he was talking about how our rights being inalienable, meaning they are bestowed on us by God. Now, well, I'm not a Christian. Well, I'm not either. But when I hear someone say that our rights were bestowed on us by God, what that tells me is by our creator or by a force bigger than you or by an entity that is more powerful than man, meaning no other man has the ability to take it from you. That's what that means. That doesn't mean that Jesus Christ is your savior. It means that no man or no earthly being has the ability to take away your God-given rights, meaning what you should be afforded as a human being on planet Earth. Now, what have we found throughout history is that that's exactly what most human beings do. They do strip other human beings of their God-given inalienable rights. And they subjugate them, and they tax them, and they rule over them. That's what evil human beings do. However, that is not the system that the founding fathers thought that would lead to a successful society, because they lived under monarchies. They lived under kings. They understood what happens when one ruling class gets to call the shots. Your rights start to be diminished and trampled on and controlled. And so DeSantis talks about your rights don't come from the Constitution. The First Amendment's right protecting you to free speech isn't why you have the right to free speech. The First Amendment is simply saying we recognize this as an inalienable right that you possess as a human being in America. And the reason that it's in the First Amendment is to simply state that government intrusion against that right will never happen to you. And not only will it not happen to you, the government will set up a structure of government that will protect that right and protect your ability to free speech. And go down the list of amendments. That's what it's about. It's about the government using its resources and its ability to protect those rights that are inalienable and already bestowed upon you. So we don't look to the government and say, oh, thank you for allowing me to own a gun. I really appreciate that. No, motherfucker, that's your right. You have the right to own a gun. And you have the right to fucking say whatever the fuck you want. And the government shall protect that right. That is the mindset behind what the founding fathers wanted. We can't say shit now. We can't say shit without being deplatformed, without being fucking investigated. You don't think people listen to me? You don't think there's some fucking pussy that's sitting in an office that's like, oh yeah, I got a tasked with listening to the Endless Endeavor this week to see what kind of crazy shit he's going to say. You motherfuckers in government step so far over the line of reasonableness years ago that it's all catching up now. And people are seeing it for what it is. There's a video going around Instagram yesterday. The ATF is at a man's front door of his house saying, I see that you bought 2 guns. And because you bought 2 guns at once, what that does is it raises a flag in our system. And then we come out and we double check that the guns are in your possession, because what we don't want you doing is buying guns and then selling them illegally. So if we can make sure that both the guns you purchased are in your possession, we'll get off your porch, we'll get out of your hair, no big deal. And the guy's like, I don't understand. Am I in trouble? Did I do something wrong? Is there some reason why you guys are concerned? And he's like, nope, good to go. No, you didn't do anything wrong. You have no background issue. Nothing came up that is concerning to us. It's just the fact that you bought multiple guns and we've been tasked to do a check. Are you fucking kidding me? You used to be able to buy guns through the Sears catalog. And the government has infringed and infringed and infringed and infringed to the point where if you buy more than 1 gun, they get to come and do some type of fucking compliance check. Get the fuck off my property. But more importantly than get the fuck off my property, you fucking pussy cops that are going and doing that, go to your fucking chief, knock on his door, go in the bathroom and grab your fucking balls first, because you're clearly a fucking bitch. Look yourself in the mirror, ask yourself, am I a fucking man, or was I one of those chemically castrated kids when I was 11? And once you determine that your balls are still there and that you're a fucking man, walk into your chief's office and say, hey, chief, I was just tasked to go violate somebody's Second Amendment rights, and I'm not fucking doing that today. Oh, well, Greg, listen, you're being outrageous again because he didn't violate their rights. He was just doing a compliance check. He didn't want to take the guns. He didn't want to do this. He didn't want to do that. Motherfucker, infringement. If you're wasting my fucking day standing on my private property, questioning me about my legally owned items, infringement, period. And if you're a cop that wants to infringe, it's time to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, are you serving your oath of supporting and defending the Constitution of both the United States of America and the state in which you are commissioned? Are you doing that? Or are you going out there and doing fucking strong arm work as a government agent? Most would argue you're a corrupt government agent if you're knocking on people's doors that are not criminals, asking to see their fucking firearm purchases. And not only is that fucking a violation of their rights, it is also fucking dangerous for you, dummy. Self-preservation. Don't put yourself in situations that are going to escalate into problems. It's not necessary. Have the fucking balls and have the fucking fortitude to refuse orders that are fucking violating people's rights, but are also putting you in a real bad situation. You know, it was a House Resolution 1808. I guess our government is now trying to ban semi-automatic rifles. I mean, I don't know where this goes. I can't imagine that it ever gets the traction to get legislated into law. But just the fact that they're trying should really, really concern you, because all of these motherfuckers have semi-automatic rifles. They have security details of men with semi-automatic rifles. They are surrounded by fucking armor and bullets and guns and shooters. They are fucking surrounded by those things to stay safe and to stay protected. So clearly it works. Clearly they think that it works. But that's for them. That's not for you, you fucking peasant. You're going to have to answer to us why you thought it was a good idea to buy 2 guns at once. Motherfucker. When shit pops off, people like that are treading in dangerous fucking territory. And you need to think about those things before you make the decision to go fuck with people on their own front porch for exercising their own constitutional rights. Period. All right, guys. A little bit of ranting, a little bit of spotlight shining on bullshit. And I like to end on a positive note. It's how we do things here. Discuss the problems, and then we fucking talk about what you can do to be a better version of yourself. Very often I talk about jiu-jitsu. I talk about physical fitness. I talk about the things that make me stronger as a man. I'm on 75 hard right now. I have to read every single day. And when I flew to Virginia last week, I forgot my book. So if I wanted to continue on the path and succeed, I had to buy something at Hudson News as I was getting on the flight. I didn't have much time, so I'm looking very quickly, kind of just in haste, what's going to pop out. Boom, I found a little book called Emotional Intelligence 2.0. It's a quick read. It's not very big. It was still almost $40 because I was at the airport. But this book, Emotional Intelligence, it's fascinating to me. And I'm going to tell you why. They break down emotional intelligence, which is referred to as EQ, and then they talk about IQ. IQ, a person's IQ is not how intelligent they are per se. It is more around their ability to learn, meaning how high functioning is their brain? How high, what capacity can this person's brain work at? The higher the IQ, obviously, the higher functioning brain that you have. However, how well your IQ or how well your brain works and how high your IQ is has been shown to have little to no relation to how successful you are as a human being. which is kind of shocking, right? You would think, oh, if this person's tremendously intelligent, they have a better chance at being successful. But what is success? There's different ways you can kind of quantify success. You can quantify success with financial results, relationships, careers. There's a bunch of different ways, and also like education. There's a lot of different ways you can kind of quantify what success is. And what they found is the common factor amongst everybody that is successful is not how high their IQ is. It's how high their EQ is. It's how high their emotional intelligence is. And that's not to say if you have a high IQ, you can't also have a high EQ and be very successful. But it's not the high IQ that typically leads people to success. It's the high EQ. Now, here's the fascinating part. You cannot change your IQ. You can learn things and you can gather information, but it doesn't change your IQ. Remember, your IQ is how well your brain functions. However, your EQ can literally be built upon for your entire life. And you can get stronger and stronger and stronger in your emotional intelligence. And this is why. When your senses perceive an incident, it can be a good incident, a bad incident, it literally travels into your brain and it goes through the part of your brain where you feel emotions. So if someone cuts you off, fuck you. That's immediate because that's the first part of your brain it goes to, the emotional part. Then from there, it literally travels through fucking synapses into your frontal lobe, where your frontal lobe is it is now inside of the part of your brain that makes decisions. And it's like, all right, that guy cut me off. Fuck him. Should I fight him? Should I flip him off? Should I just say, you know what? It's probably not going to behoove either of us to start an incident over this and let it go. Like, you're now moving from the initial fuck you to how am I going to handle the fuck you? The synapses that travel between the fuck you part of the brain and how am I going to handle the fuck you part is a literal highway of fucking nerves that you can build bigger. You can physically build it bigger by training your brain and going through scenarios. And if you want to see all the different methods, you have to read the book. But what the book is about is teaching you to be able to build that fucking highway between the emotional part of your brain and the decision-making part of your brain. And the book articulated it like this. I thought this was a good way to articulate it. It said, think about between the emotional part of your brain and the decision-making part of your brain as a 2-lane road. One car can go each direction. So the emotions are going in to the decision-making part, and then the decision-making part is sending the signals back to the emotion part, saying, this is how we're handling it. The smaller that road is, the longer you get stuck in the emotional component of the incident. So if you're angry because someone just cuts you off and it's like, oh, fuck you. Oh, and you're like, I want to smash that guy. I want to fucking smash that guy. Flipping him off, yelling, fuck you. You're still stuck in the emotional component of the incident. So we need to get you to the decision-making component of the incident as quickly as possible. And the larger you build that neural pathway between those two sides of your brain, and this is physical, this isn't fucking woo-woo bullshit. There's science showing you build a physically larger pathway, and now you can fucking react to things quicker. You can come to conclusions quicker. You can exercise discretion quicker. You can apply logic quicker. And what they're finding is there's no cap to this. And so it's fascinating because I am an emotional person and I'm realizing this is something I need to work on to be a better version of myself. And so your emotional intelligence is based off of a 4-tiered approach. All right. The first is self-awareness, meaning you got to be aware of who you are as an individual. What triggers you? What do you like? What do you dislike? What type of interactions do you feel rewarding? What type of interactions bother you? What type of people annoy you? What type of people bring you joy? You have to learn about yourself and your self-awareness. Then once you have an understanding of self-awareness, the second tier is self-management. So once you know, like, okay, when someone does this to me, it makes me pissed off. So what could I do to mitigate that? Well, here's a technique that I use. Now you're managing yourself. You're not being reactive to what's happening. You've become self-aware, and now you're learning how to manage yourself based on understanding the things that set you off, or the things that bring you joy, or the things that you react to. So the self is one side of the coin, both the awareness and the management. The other side of the coin is social awareness, and then managing the relationships with people socially. Because if I'm sitting in a room and I'm looking at all of these different people, say you're in a meeting, right? And one person is very agitated by what the boss is saying. All right. What social awareness is looking around the room and understanding how the other people in the room feel and why. And that's not saying that you agree with them, or that they're right, or that they're wrong. It's none of that shit. It's simply having the awareness to say, that person over there feels this way, and I think this is why. And then this person over there feels that way, and I think this is why. Another aspect of social awareness is understanding when people fucking come to you in meetings or any type of social setting, if they bring an energy, or they bring solutions, or they bring interactions that annoy you, that you think that person's stupid, you think that person's cocky, whatever it is, right? You need to understand who the people are, how they conduct themselves in your life, and it can be in any type of setting, right? Understand who they are, how they conduct themselves, and then figure out how to manage that for the most successful outcome. And a lot of times, people that are pricks, you just shut them off and they're pricks, right? Well, maybe if you're playing 3D chess instead of checkers, you're like Cersei from Game of Thrones. Fuck it. This person can be a fucking asshole sometimes, but maybe they're an asshole because of this. And then if I use my understanding of who they are to tweak how I interact with them, then the outcome on the other side could be positive for both of us. That doesn't mean kiss their ass. Maybe sometimes the solution is confronting them and saying, hey, you've been behaving like this, and I don't think it's good for the team because of X, Y, and Z. But the whole point in this is, I'm not here to give solutions. I'm here to simply say, have awareness of the other people in your life, and then figure out how to manage those other people by understanding why they're behaving the way they're behaving. And so self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship management. Those four things are typically, people that perform high in those four categories typically find themselves to be in successful careers. They tend to make enough money that they are content with whatever lifestyle they're looking to lead. They have better relationships. They have better marriages. They have better family dynamics inside of their house. And I'll say this, the one thing that's required for those things to work is humility. You have to be able to look inside and say, okay, this is what gets me. I react to this way. I react to that way. But how could I be better? And guys, becoming better is always a painful journey. If you want to become better at jiu-jitsu, trust me, that's fucking painful. You want to become better at CrossFit? Fuck. That's just as painful, just in a different way. If you want to become better emotionally, and you want to have a higher emotional intelligence to know yourself better, but also know your community better, you're going to have those hard talks with yourself. And you're going to ask yourself some difficult questions. And some of the answers you might not like. In fact, some of the answers you should not like. Because if you liked all the answers already, you're probably already in a pretty good spot and don't need to be working on your emotional intelligence. But I still have a fucking trigger for rage that goes from 0 to 100 instantly. Instantly, I'm ready to kill someone and fight to the death. Now that serves me well in some aspects of my life. If someone breaks into my house, we're going to have a fucking problem and we're getting down. But if someone cuts me off, is it necessary to be like, hey, motherfucker, pull over. I'll knock your fucking teeth out. Is that necessary at 42 years old? I would argue not only is it not necessary, it's probably pretty unreasonable. It's probably not going to serve me the best. It's probably not going to serve my family the best. And I got some shit to work on. And that's why, as capabilities are needed, don't focus on the physical. Don't focus on the mental. Don't focus on the spiritual. Don't focus on the emotional. Focus on all of them. Focus on all of them, and that's how you become a person that is encompassed with all of these different capabilities to serve you to be the best version of yourself. You know, for some people, the physical aspect's probably the hardest for them. For me, the physical aspect has been something I focused on for so long that's actually the easiest for me. So it's time to delve down some of the other rabbit holes that are a little harder. And I would suggest that you do the same. Take inventory of your life. Take inventory of who you are. Take inventory of your strengths. Take inventory of your weaknesses. And then we'll fucking shine a spotlight on those weaknesses. Look at them. Understand them. And then build a path to make those weaknesses some of your fucking strengths.